for political parties. Before, there were 18 constituencies, now there are 83. And experience elsewhere in the world shows us that a voting for individuals and smaller constituencies can create a stronger bond between voters and their representatives. To boost transparency and increase trust, an independent audit firm will be keeping tabs on how the votes are counted and what happens with the results. For the first time, and to emphasize IHEC's independence, judges are serving as election commissioners. This time, to help prevent fraud, provisional results will be shown in real time at result display centers throughout the country. The UN is deploying a much bigger team to support the elections. In fact, this is one of the UN's largest electoral technical assistance projects worldwide, with 5 times as many UN personnel as in 2018. In addition to that, 130 additional international experts are in the process of being deployed to monitor in advance and on election day. They come with around 600 additional supporting staff. Meanwhile, new measures are in place to mitigate the misuse of electronic voter cards, or in other words, the non-biometric voter cards. For example, after voting, the cards will be confiscated and disabled for 72 hours. Old non-biometric voter cards, which voters, for example, turned in when they received their new biometric voting cards, these old cards have been collected by IHEC and will be destroyed at any moment, most likely today or tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, while I am reflecting on ongoing efforts and measures in place, I can confirm that the UN does believe that the October elections have the potential to be different from the elections in 2018. But I also have to stress that no matter how many technical measures are being put in place, it is up to the political forces and candidates to collectively refrain from any attempt to force or distort election results. It is up to them to stop the buying of loyalties, voter suppression, and/or any other intentional illegal action. It is up to them to collectively lead by example. Now, what does that mean? It means that there is no place for any impropriety, and that includes pressuring individuals to vote for specific candidates. For instance, by threatening to withhold salaries and using official positions in an illegitimate manner. It also includes the buying and selling of votes, as well as, for instance, the intimidation of candidates and voters by threatening to release all kinds of information about them. This is all unacceptable. And to those candidates who think they can offer, let's say, $200 per vote, and in return receive a photo proving that the voter has indeed voted for that candidate. To those candidates, I would like to say, you are wasting your money. Mobile phones and cameras will this time not be allowed inside voting booths. Now, needless to say, any and all illegal actions threaten the credibility of the October elections. Hence, the United Nations support all efforts to prevent, report, and punish such actions. Now, let me repeat, as I said in New York, in the interest of Iraq's young democracy, it is crucial to deliver an electoral process that will be recognized as credible. Now, also key to establishing public trust is inclusivity. In that regard, we will continue to encourage the full and meaningful participation by women, both as candidates and voters. For example, we are working with civil society organizations to monitor and report political gender-based violence and hate speech against female candidates. We also provide small grants to local NGOs to undertake civic and voter education activities targeting female voters as a key demographic group. Other groups that need to be brought into the fold include youth, first-time voters, socially excluded and vulnerable groups, internally displaced persons and returnees, minorities and persons with disabilities. Now, just an example how to make this happen. The United Nations recruited, for instance, a sign language interpreter to assist IHEC. And we also support IHEC on the production of graphics and videos aimed at women, persons with disabilities and IDPs. And yes, I cannot overemphasize the important role of young people in the upcoming elections. With 60% of Iraq's population being 25 years old or younger, these elections offer a new generation of Iraqis the chance to make its voice heard. Now, through my discussions with Iraqis across the spectrum, I of course have heard the calls for a boycott of the elections. And the reasons for such calls vary, from disillusionment, mistrust, anger, and loss of hope, to being not ready and apparent political positioning. But as I emphasized before, while the feelings of disillusionment are very well understood, boycotting the elections will not solve anything. On the contrary, if you do not vote, you end up boosting those whose positions you may oppose. Now, we do know that Iraq needs deep structural reforms, but such reforms require unwavering determination, immense patience, and lots of time. Meanwhile, democracy is always a work in progress, and it can be tedious. It is not easy to balance interests and opinions. But if people feel included, if they feel they can help shape their own futures, then the compromises and investments are more than worth it. Now, dear members of the press, I also have a message for you, and that is about misinformation. We continue to see that falsehoods are gaining traction and becoming accepted as truth. There are misperceptions about IHEC, about protesters, about government officials, about political rivals, and yes, also, at times, about the United Nations. But it must be clear to all of us, fake news, conspiracies, misinformation only sow distrust. They can turn people against each other, and they can derail credible elections. So we are counting on you as well. We are counting on you to make sure that reporting is accurate. In other words, your role in ensuring a credible process is also essential. Stick to the facts. Deliberately feeding into all kinds of misinformation or randomly spreading stories is truly risky business. Now, last but not least, before taking your questions, allow me to reiterate the following to, in particular, the Iraqi people. The UN is with you. Your goal is our goal. To see Iraq emerge from uncertainty and division as a country in which all of its citizens have the chance to be heard and to succeed. Now, the very first step on the very long road to achieving that is to cast your ballot. This is your country, your future, your vote. Thank you very much.